Welcome to episode number 9 of Meet the GIMP. My name is Rolf Steinort and I'm recording this in Bremen, northern Germany. I've got this image with an email from Norman. He was asked to save it. Well, what's to save with this image? Okay, this is the image he has gotten out of it, and this here was the original. Comparing the images, it is clear what Norman has done. First, he has rotated the image, and then he has played with the curves tool to get the colors and brightness in the foreground right, and tried to not to blow out the clouds. When you look at this image here, the clouds are simply gorgeous. I love them. And I have asked him for permission to show this image on the show, and I'll try to redo his work now and then to try to get the clouds better in this image here. But first, let's look if we can find something in the EXIF information about this image which gives a clue to what went wrong. You see, it's a Panasonic camera, and I looked that up. This camera has a very tiny sensor. It's a camera that you can put into your shirt pocket. And here we have the exposure data, a thousandth of a second exposure time, the aperture 5.6. No, the flash was on, and the camera calculated the effect of the flash into the image, into the exposure. And the flash of such a tiny camera doesn't work with such a scene. I think you would need something like a small nuclear bomb or so in the background behind you for illuminating this here. This image is saved in JPEG. That gives another problem. This area here, which is the really interesting part, the point of interest in this image, is very dark. And when I zoom in to 100%, you see here on the horizon well-defined stuff, a bit over-sharpened here perhaps, a ship on the horizon. The clouds are very detailed, but when we go into the dark parts, you see with this tree here only dark blobs. This is because JPEG leaves parts out of the image which the computer program in the camera doesn't think you will ever see. But I want to see this stuff here, and I'm a bit stuck with the JPEG compression because the details which are lost here will never be visible again. When you shoot with RAW, you avoid such problems, and in the next show I'll show you the UF RAW converter and how to use it with the GIMP. That will be show number 10, and I think for show number 10 that's the right thing to do. I load the image into the GIMP by just pulling it over the tools here, enlarge the window, and my first step will be sizing this down a bit. The image is so large that the resulting XCF file will be more than 40 megabytes, and I think that will be too big for showing on the net. Sizing down is simply done with image, scale image, and here I go to, let's say, 1000 pixel width. Pressing tab gives me 750 pixels height, and this is the best sizing algorithm there is, and I just scale it down, press Shift Ctrl E to get it full into the frame here, and now I'm set for doing this image. The first step will be rotating. I have shown you two ways to rotate an image. and today it's time for a third way, the old-fashioned way. I just zoom into a part of the image where I know there is a horizontal line, and this is here. It's simply the horizon, and the horizon is by definition horizontal. Then I take the measurement tool here. I don't need the info window. The info window would just pop up here, but I can get all the information here below in the status bar. But perhaps your status bar isn't there, and so you can use this info window for getting this information. And now getting the angle of the horizon is simple. Just put the cursor on the horizon and pull it and drop it onto another. I've the mouse button pressed all the time, and now I put it here on the horizon, see that the line is parallel, and release the button. And now I see here the angle is 1.64 degrees. And here I have the length of this line. Now I click on the rotate tool and just click into the image and type in minus 1.63 degrees. Minus because I want to counter the plus 1.63 degrees. Click on rotate, and here it is. Just to test if we are right, the horizon is horizontal. The next step will be cropping the image. No, that would be the standard way, but not with this image. I really can't see here the image, and so I can't really judge the stuff. I don't know where to crop, and so first tackle the light here. Excuse my voice, I've gotten a cold somehow. Of course, I will not work with the curves tool before I have copied this layer here. Never do something with an image which you can't take back. Well, I did rotate it, but the later steps, never do them on the original image. Always do them on a copy, on a layer copy. Okay, I'll tackle the land first. So I call this layer land. I have double-clicked into the field where the name sits, and press return, and now the layer is named land. I just take the curves tool, click into the image, and now I'll explore the image. This here is really in the darkest part of the image. One could see that with the bare eye. But also the grass here is in this part of the image. The water seems to be this part of the grayscale here, and the sky is obviously this part here. So I have to boost this here, and just do it by pulling this up. Now it's the question, how far should I go? When I go too far, it will look artificial. And if I want to combine the sky and the land with big differences in the curves, it will not look convincing. And so let me try this. I think this is a good way. The sea is not too bright, and the chapel is good visible here, and I'll take it that way here. After I have covered the land, let me go to the sky. Again, make a copy of the original and just put it onto the top and call it sky. Double click on the name of the layer and then pressing return, and we have the sky. I want the sky layer only to be on top of this, and so I need a layer mask. Right click, add a layer mask, and I want a white layer mask, full opacity. That means this layer is fully visible and it is white. I want to hide this part of the image, but I don't want a really sharp edge between this, and for that there is a gradient tool. A gradient is simply such a thing between black and white, and it starts. Let me show you this in a scrap layer here, how this tool works. I have selected here this is a new thing I just found out by accident. When you double click, I don't think it's a new thing, but a new thing for me. When you double click on the tool icon, the tool options are selected. Good thing to know. Okay, back to the gradient tool. When I just pull this line here and release the mouse, I start it here, end it here. The area to the left of my line, before the start of my line, is filled with black, and the area behind the last point of my line is filled with white, the other side here of my gradient. And the area between is well, as the name says, a gradient between black and white, a series of grays. And I can do a long gradient or a very short gradient, and I can switch here, go here to a lot of different gradient tools, and I'll stick to this one here, black and white. And there are a lot more options here. A radial gradient where you can make a circle, can do it this way here. A lot of options. It's worth to explore the options of this tool. Okay, setting it back to linear, and I'll just delete this layer here, the scrap layer, and now I'm working on this here. The gradient is set from black to white, from making the image transparent to revealing the image. And I go back to the layer dialog, see that I have activated the layer. I don't want to paint in the image, I want to paint in the layer mask. And now let's zoom into the image. This needs a bit of precision, and I'll start here, and I'll start here and end about here. And I want to have this really straight layer this way would result in such an image. That's not nice. Control Z, back. So I press the Control key, and now the movement of this line here is limited to 5-degree steps. So make the gradient from there to, I think, there. Well, Going back to the full image, this is now my gradient. You see here, let me switch these off, only this part of the image is visible now in the top layer, and this here is in the background. This is now not very convincing. This looks a bit artificial, but I'll make the sky a bit brighter now. Again, using... oh, sorry. First I have to deactivate the layer mask here and activate the layer itself for working on it. Otherwise I would have used the curve tools on the layer mask. You always see the active part of this here by the white frame around it. So let's try this here. Now we are working on the right side here, and so I'm pulling this up. I think this looks quite convincing, and you see this artificial border between the two halves of the image has vanished into a line of mist. I think this will work. Okay. And now let's compare. I'm switching off the sky, and I'm switching off the land below. You see the difference. This is the original image, this is the new sky, and this is the new land below. The land could use a bit more of contrast, I think. I'm not really sure. Let's try this. Simply double this layer, and the land copy here combined with overlay gives a bit more of contrast, and that is definitely too much. Slide down with the opacity. Better or not? Yes, I think it's better. Now I've got 4 layers. The background, the original image, which is not really needed anymore. The land layer, a land copy, and the sky with the layer mask. And I can change all these values here without losing the image information. That's the great advantage of using layers. Now for the last part, cropping. Norman wanted to crop it into a 7:5 ratio because his printer uses 7:5 inch paper. And so let's do that. 7:5 and fixed aspect ratio. Where to crop? I think I've forgotten where Norman cropped this image, so let's decide new. I think the tree should be included, and this dry grass here should be included. So I have to start here at the right corner and just pull up. Crop tool. This is simply a matter of taste and nothing to do with something one could learn. There are the rules of thirds. Let me put this in. And here you see the front side here of the chapel is now on one of the points of interest. There's the more artistic golden section, and it can be helpful, but I think the best judge is simply your eye. I think this will work. Click on the image and it is cropped. I want to save this image as a JPEG image, and before that I have to sharpen it a bit. The traces of sharpening that were visible before I did all my manipulations are gone. There were white lines here to see, halos. I think I'll go again the lazy way and use the filters, enhance and sharpen method. This is basically an unsharp mask sharpening with some standard values preset. I'll cover the unsharp mask in a later issue. I nearly never use that, and for that I have to learn it myself really good before I can tell you something about it. I think this works well here. This works well. Click on it. Now I've sharpened the image. I can go and save this image as chapel rolf.jpg. I'm typing funny stuff today. Okay, I know that. You can't keep your layers in a JPEG image, and so the image is now exported, and all the layer information is lost, and GIMP just gives a warning. 85% quality is good. That's a perfect compromise between file size and image quality. And now I go back with my sharpening and resize the image to something that I could put in my blog as for the show note. Go to Image, Scale Image, and I want a width of 600 pixels. Just scale it. And now I sharpen it again. Sharpening should be done every time as the last step in your chain of things you do to an image. It is really the last step, and the algorithm works only well if you don't change anything after that. No resizing or so. Let's look at this. Can have a bit more. I'm ending basically at the same amount. Well, I'm okay with this image now. I'll save this as .600 so that I know which image I can put into the blog later. Let's compare the two images. This is the one Norman made, and this is the one I made. My sky is better, definitely. And I think Norman did a bit better job with the sea and the chapel. And the combination of this would be a really great picture. Yet I think I've overdone it a bit with the brightening here. Finally, I want to say thank you to all the people who have sent me kind emails or posted a kind comment on my blog. Up to now I have not heard anything negative, a lot of constructive critique, and I've followed, I think, quite a lot of that. And if you want to write me, write at info@meetthegimp.org, or go to the blog meetthegimp.org, and there also you'll find a link where you can download a zip file containing the XCF file here and the original file, the original JPEG, and the file Norman has made. I'll see you next Thursday. Oh no, that's the wrong way around. You can see me again next Thursday. Bye. Well, here I'm back. After a pot of pasta and a good red wine, I thought I have to fix this water. By the way, I can recommend that wine. It's fully organic and fair traded, and you find it at stellarorganics.com. I'll put a link into the show notes because it's fair trade, and so I think it fits well with open source programs and so on. Okay, fixing the water in an easy way. Again, I make a copy of the original on the background layer, rename it to C. Now I put it above the land and below above the land copy to keep the land alone here. And you see now the sky is not disturbed by this, only the land here. But I'll mask that out. To do that, I add a layer mask. Right click, add layer mask, and now I take a grayscale copy of the layer. Do that. Okay. Now you see the land here is brighter, and it's not like it was here, but you see the biggest changes in the water. And now let's work a bit on this layer mask here. Show the layer mask. Here you see it, and we'll switch the sky off. Now I take the curves tool, and I'll adjust the curves in a way that the land gets darker and the sea and the sky gets brighter. Now let's look again at there's no hotkey for this. Unclick show layer mask. Now you see it's quite nice for the land, nearly no difference, and the sea is better. And now I change, when I click this here on, you see the sea is better. And now I'll change here with the curve tools my values, and I think I should give the sea a bit more contrast. A bit like this here. The steeper the slope here is, the more contrast is in the image. And this part of the histogram was the sea, and so I get here a lot of contrast. And just fiddle around with the curve until it fits a bit. I haven't tried this before, so I have to experiment here a little bit. Just thought about it while eating my pasta. I think this is way better than the stuff I had before. Now let's look at the border between the rocks here and the sea. I had a big problem there before. Sorry. So, and this time I got nearly no visible halo, and when I zoom into this here, this can be I'll define this as not a halo, but this is simply surf at at the beach here. There's no halo. In my first tries, I tried to get the differences between land, sea, and sky a bit more. I have simply overdone it, but this way here, I think it works better. So, is there anything left to be done? I redo the JPEGs I did and put them on the server, and so you will see this here, and on the server you will find this XCF file with all these layers here. The file space for these files was provided by Tim Jetlika, and he has a wonderful photo site and gallery, and I'll put a link to his gallery into the show notes. Tim, if you don't want the world to look at your pictures, please drop me a note and I'll remove that link. And final note to the show quality. I'm on the way to improve the video quality. I haven't managed to get this encoder running, which was mentioned by a listener. But I'm on the way to do that. And the overall quality, I got one remark that I'm too slow in speaking. A kind remark, and please do such remarks. I'm not set back by them. I need responses from you, reactions from you. I'm not rehearsing this stuff. I have no script. And as you may hear, I'm not a native speaker, and so I have only a crude plan what I want to do. I change this plan on the way, and I haven't done a lot of training with this image, for example. I'm just doing it on the way here. If I would write up all the stuff beforehand, I wouldn't have time to do that. It takes a lot of time to write such stuff, and it would be boring. And I don't think that I would be doing boring stuff in my free time. So you'll have to live with my speed of speaking, because I have to do the stuff with the GIMP, think about the GIMP, think about what I have to tell you, and translate that. No, I'm not translating, I'm thinking that in English. But it's a bit time-consuming, and so I'm on the end of my brain capacity to do that. I wish you a very nice week, and now I'm really off. And you'll see me again next Tuesday, I hope. Bye.